Hey people, hope you're doing great. Feel like we just saw each other back on the other page. Anyway, here we are, 384 key concepts, Pythagorean theorem. Again, things to remember. A, B, and C, those are my three side lengths of a right triangle. Good news, this only works with right triangles, folks. Okay. How does the Pythagorean theorem relate the side lengths of a right triangle? Well, it literally says a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So this is a leg, and this is a leg, and c, of course, is the longest side, right? And that's the hypotenuse. Basically, it says if you square the legs and add them together, that equals the same number as if you square the hypotenuse. Okay? That is the relationship between the side lengths in a right triangle. Okay? A side of each of the three squares forms a right triangle. Remember, so squares, what's special about them is that they all have the same side length. So if this is 3 here, right, I know the other sides of the purple triangle are 3, right? Blue triangle is 4, right? So all the other sides of the blue triangle are 4, right? The orange one here is 5, so all the other sides of that one are 5. So if a side of each of the three squares forms the side of a right triangle, could we have any 3 squares form the sides of a right triangle? Like, could you have a square of 1, a square of 4, and a square of 10 make a right triangle? Could you have a square of 2, 4, and 6 make a right triangle? Here we had 3, 4, and 5. Could you have 5, 6, and 7? Would those make a right triangle? Right? That's what we're getting at. Well, the answer to that, crew, is no. No, absolutely not. Okay? I'll say no. Right? Not all squares make a right triangle. They would make a triangle, right? Again, most, let's be clear about that. Most side lengths would make a triangle, but not all of them, right? There are a special group, right? We call them perfect squares. No, I'm just kidding. Perfect squares are something else. We call them Pythagorean triples. It was escaping my brain. Pythagorean triples, guys, like 3, 4, and 5. 5, 12, and 13. Those are your two most common Pythagorean triples that form a right triangle. Okay. Question 3. Xavier said the missing length is about 18.5 units. So he says this missing length right here is 18.5 units. Without calculating, how can you tell that he solved the problem wrong? Well, you look at it. So there's a side length here of 21, 28, and he says this one's 18.5. Why is he wrong? Yep, somebody said it. They said, hey, this is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse has to be the longest side of the triangle. So, Xavier did not solve this right because clearly this hypotenuse has to be some number bigger than 28. Even if it's just 28.01, that's still bigger and that could work.
Gotta be bigger.
All right, sorry, Xavier, you did not do that right. We still like you though, buddy. Okay, question 4. A right triangle has a leg of 4 inches and 5 inches. What is the length of the hypotenuse? We can do this, right? The answer is a square root and round to the nearest tenth. So, Mr. Nolan, I want you to show your answers in these 2 ways.
Both ways.
Okay? I have more room over here, so I'm going to write it over here. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Plug in what you know. 4 and 5 are the legs. They're going to get plugged in for a and b. 4 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. Okay? Go ahead and figure out these numbers. This will be 16. This will be 25. C squared is annoyed because we haven't really done anything yet. We're going to add these 2 numbers together. This turns into 41 is equal to c squared. Okay? And remember, 41, we're not done yet, folks. Now we got to take the square root. Okay? So there's my first answer. The square root of 41 right, is equal to c, right? We take the square root of both sides, all right? But it also would like it to the nearest tenth. So, calculator up, here we go. Square root 41 to the nearest tenth, right? C could be 6.4 inches. Okay, again, got to be a good rounder. Great. Okay, good. 5. Find the missing side length. Nearest foot. Is the missing side a leg or a hypotenuse? That would be a leg, okay? So, a squared plus b squared equals the hypotenuse squared. Again, when I need a leg, I put my number in for b and I leave a alone. So a squared plus 8 squared equals 14 squared. All right? Let's start to figure out some numbers here. 64, 196, okay? How are we going to get 64 over there? Of course, we're going to subtract it. So a squared equals 132. Now it says find the missing length to the nearest tenth of a foot again. So we're getting close. So remember, once we make it this far, now we have to take the square root, okay, of each side. So we're going to take the square root of a squared. We will take the square root of 132. And a will equal that number, okay, the square root of 132. And if we want to type that into our handy calculator, and then to the nearest tenth of a foot, a is also equal to the number 11.5. Okay, and again, these are both in feet. Okay? Again, we would like you guys come up with these two answers. When we don't get a nice whole number, okay, write both. Okay? Just like we did here. Write both. You got it? I think they got it, Mr. Noel.
They got it.
Okay. All right. Last question. Then we're out of here. Find the missing side length. Again, nearest tenth of a millimeter. Identify what parts of the triangle do I have? Leg, missing hypotenuse, also known as C. Okay? If you're going to use a formula, write it out. Plug in what you know. Does it matter which number goes first? Nope. Okay? 3.7 squared plus 7.5 squared equals C squared. Okay? So we're going to go ahead. We're going to square these numbers. This is 13.69. 7.5 squared, if my calculator will work, is 56.25. And that equals C squared. Okay? Add those two numbers together. I get 69.94. And are we done? Nope. Remember, got to apply the square root to both sides now, okay? So I'm going to take the square root here, going to take the square root here. All right, so my first answer is just the square root of 69.94. That equals C. My second answer, guys, we want to go ahead and take the square root of that number. We will get not a very good number. Okay, nearest tenth. Yep, okay, so I'm looking at the 3. Looks like the 6 is going to round that up to 8.4 millimeters. Again, we're working on writing our two answers, okay? And here they are. All right, guys. That's a lot of good stuff going on there. So, key concepts done. Examples done. That's right. You know what time it is. It's additional practice time. I'll see you there.